Hey, it's from Honey D. I just wanted to pop in real quick and discuss this new moon. The new moon is in Sidereal Capricorn, Tropical Aquarius, if you follow tropical astrology. And the new moon is at 15 degrees today. And I wanted to talk about the significance of that, okay? Because there's some really interesting aspects going on with the moon that I think may be beneficial to some people who want to take advantage of that energy and use it, to their benefit. But before I do that, before I forget, I have a new tarot card deck that I'm absolutely loving. I love it. I love it. The messages that come along with this deck are very clear. They're like the illustrations and just the energy of the deck is just so it's a highly resonant deck is what I will say, and I'm really loving it. And it was created by a Black woman. Her name is Quatita Dean. She's a psychic medium. She does a lot to help those who may be looking to also solve unsolved crimes like within their families. And she's just an amazing psychic medium in general. She really does look out for, I would say, the community, and this is her deck. It's called the High Council Oracle and Tarot Card deck. Okay, and she came up with these images. It's kind of like a mixed medium type of imagery. I can show you a couple of the cards. I'm thinking about doing some of the weekly readings with this, but right now it's just my personal deck. I'm getting familiar with it. I'm really enjoying it. Like, look at this cover image that's on the back of the card. So like, this is just, come on. Okay, but like it's a mixture of oracle and tarot cards. So she has, like, I'm trying to give a familiar image. Let's see, like the Justice card. This is the Justice card. Okay, she has one of the oracle cards is the Lama Dama. Like, it's just, come on, the Governess of Cups. It's like the Queen of Cups. Like, just, I'm in love with it. That's really it. Okay. You can go to her site. Her website is awalkwiththeancestors.com. If you want to order you one of these decks, I believe they're $80 before shipping. So this is an investment. I feel like it's worth it. It comes with a book also, with all the interpretations in there. She is a Black-owned business entrepreneur, so please keep that in mind. Small business. She also has other products on her site too. If you want to visit her site and just check out all the things on her site. Okay. All right. Now, this new moon energy. The moon is at 15 degrees. And here's the significance of that. For those of you who follow sidereal astrology like I do, the moon will be in Capricorn. We know that Capricorn is planting seeds for growth over a period of time. So this is the time, because the moon is at a Gemini degree, to really get into scripting and journaling in order to support your manifestations. You can do this anytime. Scripting doesn't really have like a set timetable or anything like that. But this energy is highly supportive of that because we have the extra support of Mercury because of the moon being at a Gemini degree. You see what I mean? So, okay, I think that was just a reflection from the light outside. But yeah, so just be aware of that. If you aren't an avid journaler, but you still want to take advantage of using this Gemini energy, make a voice note. Make a voice note of what it is that you want to achieve, manifest, bring forward for this moon cycle, because it's the new moon, right? So you have a few weeks before the moon is full to where you can be feeding into this energy. There are technical phases of the moon that you can work with, like a seeding time, a time for action, and a time to release in order to allow things to come forward. But just know that right now, during this seeding time, take advantage of the Gemini energy that is attached to this new moon, okay? What else? There's also some aspects, I believe, to Jupiter and I want to say Venus. Let me check so I make sure I give y'all the right information. Yeah, hold on, let me do it like this. Here we go. So Okay, in the south node. And I feel like Jupiter is in Taurus. I feel like the south node is in Virgo because the north node is in Pisces, right? So the moon it's trine Jupiter and the south node. So that means when you're dealing with trines, okay, a trine is a triangle. So it's the point comes, it's almost like thinking of it as a supportive energy that aligns with bringing down divine or celestial influences. So this is a supportive energy. It's not really, it's not like an opposition or a square where you may have a few challenges. This is like a harmonious flow of energy. So if you can look at where the south node is located in your chart and where Jupiter is in your chart right now, so wherever Taurus is in your chart right now, this is very expansive energy for you to work with for your manifestation. So take advantage of that if you want to. Now, I'm thinking of starting this Astro series, because I really want to share my perspective on astrology, because I feel like the most beneficial way to work with the zodiac and to work with astrology is from the inside out. And I started with taking a few notes for Aries and Taurus. And just to kind of wanted to touch on what I mean by that. So the last thing that I shared was about the zodiac and the body, but I wanted to share my perspective on the natal chart, how we are all the signs and none of the signs because we are the center, but how these energies affect us as individuals through our individual natal chart, because you can look up your natal chart on your own, on the internet. It will take some work for you and some time for you to really understand what all of this is, but it's doable. You know what I mean? So everyone has Aries in their chart. You have 12 houses. Aries falls in one of those 12 houses in your chart, okay? And that rules the head. So wherever Aries is in your chart, your first house is ruled by Aries, no matter what sign is governing it, but that also plays an influence. But you have a house in your chart that is ruled by Aries. And it may just be sometimes how they put it on there is the house cusp. It may be in that language. But it's ruled by Aries. So when you look at your Aries house, think of not only the head, okay, or your physical head, but think of Aries's phrase, which is I am, right? And Mars and how that influence works in your chart. So when you think of Aries and it being the first sign, it reminded me of the phrase I am that I am, because Aries is the initiating energy and the initiating force. Aries is also the symbol of the womb. And if you think about Aries being the first sign, when you think about the body and being born, Aries is a symbol, and so is Mars, the energy of the descent into physical form, because we start out as energy, we start out as a soul, a spirit, and then we're just stated in our mothers for 9 or so months, and then we are birthed into the physical. So Aries is that initial energy of life and vitality after having a physical body, like the process of descending into matter or descending into a physical body through our mothers on earth. Okay. As a soul, you're getting used to this physical form. So this is why Aries, I think it's Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer are the babies of the zodiac. So that placement is going to be a freshness, a newness, a novice to a degree, but it also comes with a lot of natural protection, because Aries is favored, is a sign that is favored because Aries doesn't have as much experience. So Aries needs a little bit more nurturing and catering to from the divine to be guided through in a lot of things. However, Aries is also highly intuitive because she doesn't have any hangups from the experience that makes, this a sign of fear or being afraid to take risks or being afraid to try something new. So wherever Aries is in your chart, is probably an area of your life where it's easy for you to take risks and try new things. Okay. Also known as the warrior. When we get into Mars, people like to think that Mars is just like war and strategy, but that's not necessarily true. Mars was traditionally over agriculture. Mars was about discernment and prudence. And when you think about it being or Aries being a glyph of the womb, discernment and prudence was necessary, right? Especially in ancient times, because people were, especially if you get into like royal families and things like that, they were more concerned with having relations with the right people because that furthered the bloodline. So Mars is that discernment to, deciding whose genes do I want to invite into my space and who could potentially advance my bloodline. And I have some notes that I'm looking at, but an imperialist pharaohs of the New Kingdom, common people called Mars the savior or the good warrior and invoked him as a protection against danger. So Mars is also a protector. And the name wasn't Mars during that time. I believe it was, let me see, I think I wrote it down somewhere. I can't find it right now, but just look that up. There was a different name for Mars before it was Mars, because Mars, I believe, is the Greek name. So I also have the energy of Aries is decisive in an imperfect and instantaneous type of energy. Yes. And I got this particular breakdown. I didn't write it down, but I got this from a website. I'll cite it after I save the live so you can check that out for yourself. But in my own terms, I want y'all, or in my own words, I want you to think of Aries in terms of find the place in your natal chart that supports that, or find the Aries placement in your natal chart and see what area of your life supports that phrase. Okay. I'm gonna move on to Taurus right quick. Taurus has two phrases, and I was going over Taurus for this conversation yesterday, and I stumbled across some reminders that were almost like, how could I forget that? But just the way that I was reminded of it was very profound to me. But anyway, Taurus has two phrases. Taurus is I have, but Taurus is also I see. With and you can look on, let me give y'all this website. It's called souled-out.org, like SOULED.org. But just before I read these notes, just my own, experience as a sidereal Taurus with a Taurus stellium, I can already tell you that Taurus values self-worth, what we value. But when I speak in terms of astrology from the inside out, Taurus is how we value ourselves, how we value our relationship with the divine, and how we value our relationships with the earth, with our body. So the first symbol of earth that we have, and earth is the body and also the heart. So Taurus, even though Taurus rules the throat on the body, it's the throat and the thyroid. Taurus is about being comfortable in your own skin, having confidence in your personal values, and not being swayed. Bulls are known to be stubborn, right? As animals. Like, you can't move a bull unless you taunt a bull. And the bull in certain ancient cultures was highly revered. I know in India, the cow is still a revered animal. So when you think about your own self-worth and the Venusian principle that ties into that self-worth, it's easy to get caught up in just physical pleasure, physical beauty, materiality, material things as representatives of what you value. And there's nothing wrong with material things. The balance and the shift comes in to where you take Taurus to a higher octave is when you apply that inwardly. So looking at your second house is your house of values. You look at your second house, and then you also find which house on your natal chart is ruled by Taurus. So it's easy, once you start to get familiar with looking at natal charts, it's easy to know which sign governs which house when you look at the rising sign. So for myself, I'm a Libra rising. So my second house is Scorpio. Taurus is my 8th house, and I have a stellium in that house. So I look at my relationship between my Taurus 8th house and my Scorpio 2nd house. What placements are in those houses? See what I'm saying? So, and maybe I'll come back one day and do aspects too. But for now, just know that your self-expression and honoring your self-worth is a Tauran trait. Excuse me. I'm looking at these notes now too. Okay. So being content in the physical form after moving through the descension into the physical body, which we were initiated into through Aries. So you see how everything is kind of like falling in order, but it's falling in order from the inside out. Taurus is also about Venus and the moon, because the moon exalts in Taurus. So there's a lot that goes into Taurus, even as like the constellation of Taurus and the star Aldebaran. And Taurus also rules the third eye. So there's a phrase about, when your eye becoming or single, then you can see into the kingdom of heaven. That eye is Taurus, and it's associated with Aldebaran, which is in the Taurus constellation. In ancient Egypt, Hathor is associated with Taurus. Hathor was one of the original Egyptian goddesses before dynastic Egypt. I'm just gonna skip all the rest of those notes, but Hathor was over or governed, beauty, luxury, ritual, divination, intuition. Venus being known as the morning and the evening star is very significant when it comes to Taurus. And it also plays into Libra later on down the line, because Venus rules both Taurus and Libra. Mars also comes back into play with Scorpio. But these are just some of the things I wanted to touch on. I don't really have like a structure for this. I just wanted to ramble about it because I like talking about this stuff. But also, Aldebaran, the star, is the eye of the bull. It's known as the place where the will of God is known. The evolved Taurus has an enormous capacity to visualize and manifest, powered up by their sun placements, alignment with the stellar point of force. So you can say this applies differently to my perspective because I have a lot of this Tauran energy in one house. And it's also my North Node. So this is the way that this information started to come, was just the timing was really great. But it's also interesting to note that Aries, Taurus, and Capricorn are the great transformers and in the zodiac under the great creative plan, and act as catalysts. So as one of the earlier signs with Taurus, it begins there to be a sign of transformation. So if you're someone like me who has Taurus in the 8th house, that's a lot of transformative energy in a transformative house, because we also know that Scorpio is a sign of transformation. So I'm just kind of trying to ramble and see if y'all can kind of piece this together on your own too. So just know that looking at astrology from the inside out is a much more beneficial way to approach it as a tool for the knowledge of self, and not just a pop culture party conversation piece, which can be cute, but it's like, what's the point in that if you can't use it to enhance and better your life? Like, I feel like this should be something that enhances your life to a degree, something that can help you help yourself. Let's see, anything else? Oh, the mantra for Taurus is give it up to the universe, which I also found interesting. Or you can say, give it up to the divine, give it up to God, however you want to, whatever language you want to use. But knowing that all of these principles, the stars, the zodiac, are all energies that are available to us to help us enhance and improve our human experiences, I feel like is paramount, especially when there's so much noise going on to like distract us from tapping into what's really important. I feel like things like astrology are things that you can look to get yourself realigned. For some people it's religion, for some people it's art, for some people it's all of the above. But these are tools that can be used to remind you of what's important. And there are a lot of astrological information that ties in to different religions if you are a religious person. So there's also that. There were a lot of scriptures that popped up when I started to review a lot of this research, and I had almost forgotten about it because I used to be very keen on Christianity and astrology, but I'm not a Christian. So, it's changed. But what I can say is that one of the values of religion is being able to see and understand that the common thread is not only love, but knowledge of self when it's used appropriately. It's been used in so many horrible ways that I'm just like, I don't really deal with it like that. But knowing that at the core of certain things and certain principles, if you're able to identify the core of certain principles and see a common thread, and you actually have a soul, then it's not easy. I mean, it's not difficult to understand that the whole point of this is for us to, again, have knowledge of self and to elevate. So I hope that this little ramble session wasn't too boring. I'm going to leave it right there. The song of the week is still Wait by Alex Isley. If y'all want to get into that. And yeah, I could leave it there for now. Don't forget to do some type of journaling or voice notes or some form of communication that you feel like is going to support your goals while this new moon energy is permeating. The new moon energy is 3 days before the new moon and 3 days after. So we got today, tomorrow, and the next day. I feel like it's prime time to work with new moon energy if that's what you want to do. And yeah, take care.